You see, science has always been a male dominated field. Today, I want to talk about people. Now, there was this woman in the 1800s, Eunice Newton Foote. Now, Eunice Newton was the daughter of Isaac Newton. But what we don't know is if it was the Isaac Newton. What I don't know is if it was the popular Isaac Newton that we all know. Now, her father was a farmer. He had other kids too. He was interested in educating his children. So they had to move from one rural area to the other where they had a good school. He schooled his children. Now, when she grew up, she became interested in science. Later on, the Isaac Newton died, but he was indebted before his death. Hi, you're welcome to Climate with Amina. So back to Eunice Newton now. Somebody came, there was a lawyer that helped them with the case. Somehow later they got married. Now, after they got married, that's the Mr. Foot, that's the foot in her name now. She got married to him and she had her personal laboratory in her home where she was asking questions and conducting experiments. She conducted several experiments, but I'd like to talk about this one today. She brought out two glass tubes. She filled one with gases and water vapor, and the other one was just dry air. Now she used the sun as a source of heat. Now she discovered that the tube that had those gases absorb more heat and it warmed faster than the one that had just dry air in it. So she was able to conclude that, oh, these gases that had dry air absorb less gas compared to um, absorb less heat, sorry, compared to the other ones. So what happened was this was a time where public speaking was not a female thing. Women were not even allowed to speak publicly. You'll be looked at like, you are not responsible. Now, the issue now is how will she present her discovery? Now, the main organization there was the American Association for the Advancement of Science, AAAS. Now, what she did, she went to her husband to this conference. Her husband had a friend, Joseph Henry. So he assisted her with presenting her paper. So you just imagine, just because you're a woman, she was sitting in the audience and someone else was presenting her work. But he did give her the credit. He said, this is the work of a female scientist. After this presentation, the her work did not make it to the conference proceedings. It just ended there. But she never gave up. Now, months later, she published the work, and people realized that this is actually something substantial. Now, 3 years later, there was a natural philosopher. Now, what he did, this is Tinder. Let me call him Mr. Tinder. What he did, I think Joseph Tinder. So John Tinder, sorry, he did the same experiment, but this time he had a facility. He was working in a research institute, so he had assistants. So he perform this experiment instead of making use of the sun. He had more sophisticated equipment, let's just put it like that. So he was able to provide a plausible explanation as to the reason for the earth's fluctuating temperature. He was able to see that the higher the concentration of gases, the higher the temperature of the planet, and the lesser it is, the lesser the temperature of the planet. Now, 30 years before these two people, before Eunice Foote, there was a mathematician, Joseph Fura. Joseph Fura was concerned as to why we are not freezing. He felt like this planet is supposed to be frozen. So why is it warm? Why are we able to live on this planet? So he later conducted experiment and he was able to say, oh, there are gases in the atmosphere. And these gases are the reason why the planet is warming up. But he didn't have mathematical formulas to prove. So later there was another guy, Claude Poulet, that was able to provide mathematical experiments. Now let's go to 1938. Now in 1938, there was this guy, his name was Guy Calender. What he did, he was working at a weather station. So he collected global weather temperatures. After collecting them over the years, after collecting them, he realized that the Earth's temperature was actually warming up. I think he observed I believe it was about 0.3 degrees Celsius rise in the Earth's temperature. So he presented his work. Now, later on, in 1958, another guy came, Charles Keeling. Charles Keeling was working in Mauna Loa. So he was collecting, he was taking atmospheric concentration of carbon dioxide. After some time, he discovered that Mauna Loa is located in Hawaii. So he discovered that the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere in this it has spiked, it has increased rapidly. So he was able to, then after him, researchers took up work. They started researching. The scientists came up, there were supercomputers then, and then these people came, they created a climate model. They tried to impute natural factors, volcanic eruption, as to why the earth's temperature is rising and is rising fast. the they could not get the results. So what they did, they now imputed human factors, and that was how it was discovered that we are responsible for the Earth's rising temperature, for the climate change that we're experiencing today. Now, why did I talk about people? Why am I talking about people? It is because big changes begin with people. Now, the big movement we see today began with just one person, someone, that one person that decided to take action. So when you use less plastic, when you consume less electricity, when you reduce your waste generally, you are taking action and you are making a possible change. So do not ever underestimate your impact. So when you speak up about climate change, you inspire others. I hope I have inspired you today. So see you next time on Climate with Amina. Thank you.